Gee, what do you got?
See that over there past them trees?
No.
Right over there.
Over there?
No, over there.
Right there.
Yeah, that.
What the hell? You'll find ugly mother. If you don't like it, subscribe. Big welcome back to my entire USOW family. Wherever in the world you may be, Boy Blue here coming to you live once again from behind enemy lines. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get into the new SMS Trinity IR laser. However, before we do, if you're enjoying this content, we kindly ask that you show your support by doing that big trifecta of the like, sub, hit that notification button, and if you haven't already, please take just a quick second so that we can tell you a little bit about our new and best and greatest sponsor, USOW. Where if you're in the local area, you can actually join us for training. We do multiple different types classes. Everything's listed on the website. Jump over to USOverwatch.com. All right, guys, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into this little unboxing. Now, this video is going to be just our initial impressions of the SMS Trinity, and we will circle back later on down the road with a follow-on video of just how it's holding up, because nobody runs their guns quite as much as we do, unless you're in the training space or something like that. We're out here weekly, and I chose to mount this to give myself a good representation of its durability to my LMT piston gun. And this one has a little bit sharper recoil impulse than our standard direct impingement M4. So I'm hoping this will give me a little bit better sign as to how the longevity of this unit's gonna stand up over time. However, only time will tell, so we'll circle back with how much we've tested it and what our results are. Now, for the unboxing, it comes in this little bag, and I know everybody's used to the lasers, even the HOLOSUNs coming in a little bit more substantial container. However, this is going to be mounted onto some type weapons platform, so I don't really see the need in wasting money on extra packaging. Now, before we get into this, very important that you know, just for full disclosure, a lot of our teammates and clients were asking about this particular laser. It just kind of blew up the market because of the price range it's coming in at. So I reached out to SMS, asked would they provide us some for review, and they gladly did. I was a little bit taken aback. Instead of just one, they actually provided us with two, one in each color. It comes in black and FDE, as you can see. The black model comes in at $350, and the tan model is listed at $375. If you've been in the market for a really good IR laser with illuminator and a slaved vis laser for zeroing and day use should it require, then you already know that $350, $375 is an outstanding price point for a laser of this capability. Now, my first impression when I unboxed it was, wow, it's substantial. So I weighed it. It comes in at 7 ounces, which is a little bit heavier than your PEQ15. But the housing is all aluminum. It's a very rugged unit and just feels like it's really going to hold up well. I checked out some earlier reviews from a few other channels, and a few were really good. I'll drop links to those down in our description. Give those guys a a view if you want a very in-depth explanation as to all the mathematics and all that trash. This is more of blues redneck reviews. So, you know, I feel like the majority of people just want to know, how does it stack up to these other things and what am I getting for my money? I did hear in comments on our old channel that we used to have, anytime we would review something from HOLOSUN or one of the Baofeng, any of those companies, the initial thing was, oh, it's Chinese and I don't want to support that and everything. And I understand that. That's a personal opinion, which I totally understand, totally agree with. When we're conducting reviews, though, we're just trying to give every potential buyer just an unbiased review of what our thoughts are. Because we are out here a lot, we do shoot weekly, and we're able to test it where they may not be able to. The other thing is, I'm a firm believer in capitalism. So if bigger companies weren't so focused on large government contracts and kind of catered to the few of us that are out here that don't have big government money, then I feel like our market would be flooded with US-made lasers and optics rather than the HoloSuns and SMS lasers. Now, the stuff I buy myself, you know, that's my personal opinion as to where I would spend my money. So I'm not going to tell you what to do on that. Everybody watching this channel is probably over 18 anyway. Looks like our demographics right down the center. So you're all grown big boys, and maybe the one lady that unluckily landed on this channel, but you can make your own decision. However, like I said, if you need it and you don't have government buying your products for you, then this may be a good option, but that remains to be seen once we finish with the review. Now, initial impression, like I said, is that I really dig the ergonomics of it. It's laid out very interestingly. The controls, everything, I played with it a lot last night, and don't take that out of context, but the switches on the side controlling the vis laser, IR laser, just what mode you're in, they're good. They do have a tactile feel, however slight. I don't know under nods or in the dark with gloved hands. Haven't tried it out yet, but I feel like I'd be able to tell where I'm at. But if not, then we always wear a little red light on us just so we can check the condition, make sure we're running it the proper way. Now, on top of the unit, you have a little slide lever that you depress, and that adjusts the throw of your beam of your IR illuminator. And you have two buttons on the top here, which control the power of your output of your light and your laser depending on which mode you have the selector switch in. On the back, you have a very simple fire button, and that just initiates the laser, the light, or whatever you have. Now, one thing it does not have is a quick throw lever for detachment. You actually have a Allen key here that you would attach the unit to your rifle with. One thing cool is that it does come with a diffuser, and from just playing with it last night, it is in standard powered mode. It does come with directions if you want to unlock it to a high power mode. Last night in my yard, my home CQB setting, I guess you would say, I did realize that it's a very strong laser and I didn't have any need to go to the high power. We might do that later. We're going to put it up against a standard full power PEQ15 just to show you kind of how it stacks up in its standard configuration without unlocking that high power capability. Now, the little lenses here can be covered by this flip down diffuser, and I know the PEQ15 comes with that. The HoloSun that I purchased earlier did not. So this is a nice little thing that they threw in there so you don't have to buy it. You have the IR illuminator lens, and then you have the standard laser and the IR laser just above it. Now what's kind of neat is the way that it lines up is unlike other models I've ran in the past where normally they're kind of offset to the side so that they're not going to splash into your front sight post, then this allows a little bit easier zeroing to allow for what we call a parallel zero. Just been my experience that works out much better. And that's simply where whatever the offset is over your barrel, if this is the barrel, this is the laser, if it's off to the side, and let's say you zero it at 36 yards, you're actually going to have to make that laser come into your line of sight. And that's fine at 36, it meets point of aim, point of impact. However, as you travel farther, it may cause you to aim off to the right. If you're aiming at 50 or 100, now your muzzle is actually going to be aiming this direction. So a lot of us prefer a parallel zero so that no matter what the distance we aim at, it's always going to be parallel. And you just got to know your hold for the laser depending on how close up you are or how far you are away. And that's just shooting and knowing your rifle, and that's why we train. Now, another cool thing that they did is they placed the battery more at a width-wise than lengthwise like most other units do. Now, they said this is to allow for a little bit more robustness in the unit to not lose contact with the battery, which other units have suffered from in the past. It's kind of cool. It's very similar to the EOTech EXPS series where you put the battery in here. And so it's kind of cool. You just got 2 entries here for both batteries. Now, ergonomically wise, really like it. It's not a huge, obnoxious sight. Like I said, it's 7 ounces, a little bit heavy. However, for me, it fit right into my current setup. I do run a Surefire Scout light with a Vampire head, so I can either go white light if we're training with partner forces, or you can go IR if you need IR illuminator without the laser capabilities. And then the EXPS-2 is what I have here. And this allows me to do totally passive shooting under night vision. However, you do have the laser if you want to increase that capability. And the fire button right here, it was very easy for me to actuate from my standard C-clamp grip. That's a mouthful when you don't stop to breathe. And all I had to do is just push back this pressure pad for my Surefire light. And I know some people like them, some people don't. I haven't had issues with accidental discharges. However, I believe that you can also add a pressure switch to the rear of here, and it is, forget the name of it, but it's the standard pressure switch, and SMS does include it with the package. Has a has a smaller footprint than your longer Surefire tape switch, but with the standard NATO in, you can attach this to Picatinny rail and have your laser actuate from here as your fire switch. It comes with a Picatinny section that can be attached to M-LOK should you need to do that if you have an all M-LOK and you don't want to mount it at the 12 o'clock position. And it also comes with a small adjustment tool. Now this adjustment tool has your hex on one side and a tiny flathead screwdriver on the other. You want to make sure you hang on to this because your adjustments for windage and elevation, they do use this tiny little flathead screwdriver. And like was mentioned on another review, I had experienced this myself as well. It is a little bit difficult to make these adjustments. You almost need 2 people. Because as you're trying to adjust and turn this, somehow you're always going to lose your sight out of your view. So either have to lock down the rifle into some type vise and adjust from there, or just use the buddy system to make sure you get on target. But yeah, like the other channel said, if you had to adjust this in the dark on the fly, it would be pretty tough to do so. I don't foresee the need in having to do that, but where there's a way for something to go wrong, it definitely will. Okay, so I think that covers enough of the initial impressions and just kind of how we have ours set up. What we're going to do is move out to the range there and put a few rounds down range and just see how it performs, holds up, and see how well it maintains its zero. Two questions I know we're going to get asked in the comments. We always get them. Somebody's going to ask, why does your magazine release have that little button in it? This was actually a workaround for living behind enemy lines. So you could at one point register it like your rifles like this and then keep them in this configuration. So that's what I did, as they always say, when in Rome. And the other is I had to move my backup front sight to just up here. And this does not obscure the view through my EOTech. However, if this went down, I can simply flip it up with the rear sight. It's a very short sight radius. However, on the LMT, it's a monolithic rail, so it's all one piece, so your handguard's not going to shift around. And I got a little tritium front sight up here, so I'm looking at about the same distance between my front and rear sight as I'd have on my Glock 34 or my 1911 or something like that. It worked good for CQB distances close in, and if you got farther than that, then might not do that well. However, I was thinking it might make a cool video just to test that out as well. If you guys are interested in seeing that, drop down in the comments and let me know. And if you're not interested in seeing that, drop down in the comments and let us know what's your favorite laser setup, or are you guys totally going passive aiming now, or are you running a combo like we do here? And yeah, if you have a favorite model, then let us know. And if you have experience with the Trinity, very, very interested in hearing that. Everybody jumps down there on our team and reads those comments, as well as lots of other viewers, and it leads to just a great conversation. And I feel a strengthening of the community, which we desperately need. All right, guys and gals, with that, let's jump out to the range and see how this bad boy performs. All right, guys, big welcome back. We're going to give you the opportunity to see some of these lights in action. So join us as we step onto the very dim range. All right, guys, so we're going to start with the full power PEQ15. That's a freaking mouthful. And there you go. So you can see a full power PEQ15. You could actually light up that little cave up there. As you move down to 50 yards, you get a little bit of splash there off of all these targets at 50. So that might not be the best thing for you. You see we can bring it in, really get that little spot to flood there. All right. Now those caves up there are about a couple hundred yards away to give you some kind of idea. So that's 50 and that's a few hundred yards. All right, so that's full power PEQ. Now I'm just gonna set that one here so you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. Let me see if I can get it to stay straight. All right, now here's our HOLOSUN. Now the HOLOSUN, let's see, that's on the full power setting, and I can bring it in a little bit more. Now this one was recommended for like CQB and stuff because you could see out at distance. It's just not quite strong enough to light up that cave up there. But at close in, it's about perfect. You don't get a lot of splashback off the targets and stuff. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm gonna leave that one up here. Let's see. So that's the HOLOSUN right there. All right, and now for the new SMS Trinity. There we go. So you can really see how impressive this bad boy is. Let's bring it to a little bit more of similar flood to the PEQ. You can see they both clearly overpower the HOLOSUN. And then at distance, very bright, able to light up the cave with the illuminator. You can go to that flood, really light up the area that you're looking for. All right, and so the same deal with the PEQ though, at close in, you're gonna get a lot of splashback off those targets. But you can see with that flood is pretty clean, man. It's able to light up a lot. You're able to see a fair amount of what's around you. And in comparison to the PEQ, spin this little bad boy. I don't know, man. I think for the price, it really performs well. Very impressed. You can tell the laser's a little bit stronger on this one, but we can flip down that diffuser, and flipping down that diffuser kind of cleans it up for you. So there's your side-by-side comparison. We got a PEQ15 full power. We got the HOLOSUN. I'll have to drop down the name in the description. And the Trinity SMS. All right, guys. We'll meet back in the classroom and shake down our final thoughts. So we're jumping back in here in the not too near future, as you could probably tell if you're keen and aware and made it this far into the video. And general feedback from everybody on the staff, everybody that got their hands on it, got to run a few rounds through it and look at it through our NVGs. We were blown away by the price point that this illuminator IR laser is coming in at, with the features that it has and the power that it has. We didn't even unlock the full power mode. We're gonna do that in a future episode because we wanted to put some rounds through it, kind of torture test it, see how well it holds zero. So this was initially just our first impressions on it, but from our first impressions, if first impressions tell you anything, I would not hesitate if you're looking at an easy way to get into the IR low light nods shooting. This is a more than capable unit of doing that. When you look back at the video, you notice we placed it up against a relatively similar priced HOLOSUN and the much more expensive PEQ15 full power. And it really did hold its own. Now, only time will tell with further testing if it'll hold zero like the PEQ15 does and the HOLOSUN. However, I have a lot of faith. We did a little bit of research before even doing this wrap up, and it seems like it will deviate a little bit, but that can also be accounted or attributed to handguards moving, upper receiver moving around a little bit, and I haven't seen any channel that gave it a really big X mark saying that it's not a good purchase. So I know several guys on our team are actually in the process of have already ordered them and are just awaiting for them to arrive so they can put them on. And thank you a lot to SMS for sending us a couple of these to try out. We really appreciate the faith in their product and the faith in us to give you a review worth watching. If you have any questions about it, drop them down in the comments if you feel like we negated to cover something, and we'll be happy to address it down there. We try to get to every comment that's within reason. And make sure you stick around with us. We'll have a lot more information on this and other equipment that will go on your rifle that helps you to perform a little bit better under nods, gas masks, things of that nature. Always trying to bring you really cool content on behalf of the USOW crew. If you made it this far, you're one of the few, the proud, and the ones with enough time to sit and watch these type things, and we really appreciate that. Looking for the best way to support the channel, you can always like, subscribe, share. Make those comments. That helps the algorithm to push us out to the stratosphere so more people get eyes on us, and it helps us bring better reviews and more content for you to enjoy while you have some time off. If you are local, jump over to usoverwatch.com. Lots of classes over there if you're in the SoCal area, and visit the shop. Tons of swag over there. Our merchandise is another good way to support us. And you know we never leave you without leaving you with a small golden nugget of wisdom. This one's kind of deep, and I knew with my old mind I didn't want to mess it up and sell you guys short. But I found this the other day, just resonated with me, thought I'd share it with you. Failure is information, not identity. Mistakes teach faster than success. Avoiding failure avoids growth. So you can see why that resonated with us. We're always out there pushing ourselves till we fail. And I don't think I've ever failed without learning a valuable lesson. Sometimes when you win, you walk away without taking very much. You kind of forget it relatively quickly. So with that, thank you for joining us once again. Stick around, a lot more content to come next week. This is Blue on behalf of the USOW crew, and we are out.